Show.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to episode 224 of the 580 Show. This week, myself and Mr. Colten Rhodes. What's up, buddy?
What's up? How's it going, Josh?
Good, man. Thanks for joining. Um, so if you don't know Colten, Colten is a strongman athlete. He's also a strongman coach. I believe you have a powerlifting background as well. Um, and yeah, just I've met him in person a couple times. I think he's a really smart coach, and I just kind of wanted to ask him on here to just talk a little bit. So if you're not following this guy, you should be. He posts a lot of funny stuff to his stories too, which is funny. But it's if you're not watching on YouTube right now, it's Roadhouse RHODE House 68 on Instagram, and you have your coaching pages and stuff in there as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh. Yeah. So, I'll introduce myself, as Josh introduced me. Colten Rhodes, started powerlifting, in high school here in Oklahoma through the Football Association, which is pretty much a joke here, not comparable to like Texas Football Association powerlifting, but I got my feet wet a little bit and kind of loved the lifting part. Unfortunately, we stopped powerlifting after my freshman year, so I didn't get to really continue that until my sisters did AAU gymnastics at a national level, and they had powerlifting in AAU. So I was like, okay, I can do this on my own, and I started my first meet when I was 17, like full actual powerlifting. I showed up in shorts and a t-shirt, and they were like laughing at me because I was like, I that's what we did in the football association. So I was like, oh yeah, I got my shirt. Yeah. And they're like, you need a singlet. And like, we'll let you do it today, but tuck your shirt in so we can see your hip crease, whatever. And which was cool. Like I won the meet. I was like 17. I think I weighed in at like 224 and totaled 13-15. And I was like, cool, I don't know what I'm doing, but I guess I'm good at it. So at least back then, the kids nowadays are crazy, but yeah, so that's why I started powerlifting like really young, like really competitive, I guess at 17, and then 31 now. So I've got about 15 years or so lifting under my belt. Really transitioned to strongman, I guess probably more so about 3 years ago after I saw like Jackie, Seth, and Alec go to OSG, and it kind of brought me back to like, oh, this is cool. Like it got me excited about like lifting and training again, like because it brought me back to like those AAU days when I was going to nationals, and it's like a big arena convention. There's tons of stuff going on, and it's just a lot of good energy and a lot of fun competing at that high level. So that's what made me switch from kind of want to switch from powerlifting to strongman. Well, strongman's a lot more fun, let's be honest.
Yeah. It's funny because there's so many of us that have the exact same story, basically, like powerlifting and then want to do something new and then found strongman and thought it was more fun. And it's like, that's so many people I talk to. I mean, that's essentially mine as well. It's funny, you're from Oklahoma City. Are you from there originally?
So I was an Army brat, so
Oh,
I kind of
gotcha.
moved around a lot. I went to high school all 4 years here in Oklahoma in a podunk town. Um, Before then, it was like Oklahoma and Texas. I lived in Nebraska for like a year. And
Gotcha.
other than that, yeah, it's pretty much Oklahoma,
But you
Texas.
call Oklahoma City home now. And as we're talking, it's you guys are actually hosting Powerlifting American Nationals are in Oklahoma City this weekend.
Yes,
So it's
collegiate nationals is in the city this weekend, and Brew House is real close to it, where it's downtown in the convention center.
yeah. Is it
And so
USAPL College Nats?
I believe so.
Yeah,
Yes.
USAPL College Nats. Which I was actually at once, not as a lifter, but it was huge. It was really
Oh,
cool when I saw it.
I don't want to talk numbers because I don't know for sure. I'm not part of the management of the gym, but we've been doing drop-ins, all week because I
Right.
guess the way they peak for USAPL and their friends are with them, like they all want to go get a lift in, and they're doing 100+ daily passes a day, like
Holy shit. I mean, I
over a
guess,
hundred a day.
you guys have the calibrated plate setups. You guys got you guys have a great setup at Brew House Barbell. Um, so yeah, I mean, you guys are probably the spot in town.
Yeah.
Uh, well, that's awesome for the gym. Probably sucks for people that are just going to train, but
Yeah, it's been a little rough. People are getting a little frustrated, but we're all like, we've been told it's going to pay for AC this summer,
yeah,
and
shit,
so I'm
dude.
like, all right, we can suck it up for a week to not die all summer. It'll be all right.
Dude, you can speak to it because I've talked to Alec and Seth about it as well, but it's just funny because like up here at our gym we're in complete climate controlled. And I remember when I think it was actually the first time I met you. I was in Oklahoma like last August, and I remember just being in the gym and it's like 107 degrees in the gym. And I've had members call me when it's like not under 75 in the gym, telling me that something's broke. So you understand, like
Yeah, like
the
you
gym
well,
is
yes, whenever
level.
we saw each other, we got that classic meme whenever my buddy went to turn the camera off
Yeah,
too
yeah,
soon
yeah, yeah.
for my because I was doing my OSG onlines and I pulled that 820 deadlift. And if you're pulling 800 plus pounds in a deadlift suit and it's 100 degrees in the gym, I think you should get bonus points.
Dude,
I'm
seriously.
just saying.
The only thing is at least you slide in and out probably easier.
Yeah, you're just
But
soaked.
dude, it's another level. But that your guys' gym is awesome and it
Yeah.
reminds me a lot like I think I know you don't train there like all the time during the week, but they have like you guys have a really good crew at Brew House, and I think it
Yeah.
like cultivates like really good athletes, like and you guys are churning out more and more good athletes. And um I don't know how many of them you coached, maybe all of them, but I know it was a good handful. But at the Arnold, you guys had what uh every person from the gym that went made the finals for open. Is that
Um,
true?
at the Arnold, I'm trying to think. So like the Arnold this year, I mean, I had Jackie, my wife Jackie that I coached. She made finals. Seth made
Seth.
finals, got second. Um, Yoder, who was comp I helped at today, he trains at Brewhouse sometimes. He'll come up sometimes and train with us, but not all the time. He made finals. I'm trying to think. Uh,
Fredo.
Alfredo made finals. I think that's all I had. Obviously,
Yeah.
Alec would
So
have been good.
four athletes and four finals.
Yeah,
It's
so
just
4 for 4.
yeah. It's just it's basically me just saying like it's kind of cool your guys' gym, like a lot of OSG competitors, obviously OSG winners. Seth got second in the Arnold. Obviously a lot of stuff changed and who knows what could have happened. I mean, you can
Yeah, coulda,
hypothesize,
woulda,
but
shoulda. Yeah, whatever.
right. But yeah, it's a super competitive and friendly atmosphere, but just like a lot of competitive athletes. And then on the powerlifting side too.
Oh yeah,
Um well, it's like how you were saying kids have uh like like how crazy powerlifting has gotten.
yeah,
I was at the gym and I asked the kid, he pulled 725 for a double, and I was like, "What do you do for a living?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm still in school." I'm like, "Where do you go to college?" And he's like, "No, I'm still in high school." And he's pulling 725 for a double.
yeah. Insane. Like it's unreal because like, and it's kind of cool. A lot of our younger guys like understand because like they're what did you? Because they see me and they're like, oh, like you're big and like I'm one of the strongest guys at Brewhouse, which is a testament. I feel like I'm proud of
Yeah,
that because it's a strong freaking gym. But they're like, oh yeah, what did you do when you were my age? And I was like, this is what I did, which is like these kids are out totaling by 200-300 pounds now at a
right,
lighter body weight than I was, and I'm like, but like most of them are understanding now, like, oh, like you guys paved the way for us, like because you guys didn't have crap, like we didn't know anything, like
right,
I didn't know anything about sleep, nutrition. I just eat as much as I can and train hard, like that's all I knew.
right. That's literally the truth. It is crazy to think how many more resources there are now, and like honestly, I don't even really remember like online coaching really wasn't even a thing either at all. I remember refreshing the bodybuilding.com
Yeah.
forums for all the no like you get like a post from and it wasn't even like a real power lifter. It was just like someone that did like power building and
Mm,
like you said, like eating was huge. I think there's a huge emphasis, and it's actually something I want to talk to you about, nutrition, because you've been like really dialing in your nutrition, and I think it's cool to follow along. But there was nothing with nutrition. It was just literally eat up to the next class,
yeah.
you know. And you're right though. It's cool to see because for one thing I'll say I love about powerlifting is the barrier to entry is so low. You
Yes.
need a barbell, right? Barbell
Hmm.
and a squat rack, and you can do the sport. So I think it's really cool that it's so accessible to people now. Like college nationals in Oklahoma City this weekend. I mean, just for one gym to have hundreds of day passes speaks to how huge it is.
It has gotten really huge. Like you said, the barrier entry is low. Like if I would have had access to strongman stuff from the get go, I 100% would have done that because that's why I started powerlifting. Because like again, my story is very similar to most people. Like I saw the guys on ESPN. Like I wanted to be Derek Poundstone, still
Right.
do. Like you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
he was so cool, and he's this jacked freaking 300-pound monster, and I'm like. I want to do that, but I don't know how. And like, I've never seen a log in person at that point, like, or any of that stuff. And I was like, that looks cool. But I was like, oh, I guess I'll squat, bench, and deadlift because that's what I
Yeah,
have.
right. Yeah, it's cool. It's and there's just so many more resources now, and there's just so many freaks. I mean, look at that. What's his name last weekend? His name's Colton.
Yeah.
I
Limit.
forget
I
his.
don't remember his last name. It's like Ingle. I don't know. It's a really
Yeah.
hard South African name. Yes.
Yeah, I talked about him last week briefly on the pod, but dude, I really don't think I even emphasized how I
It's
think
mind
in the
blowing.
last I'm trying to think, you've been in it about we're about the same age.
Yeah.
I can't okay, obviously Eddie Hall's deadlift was huge. Um, that was a big strength barrier, like a big broken strength barrier. But last weekend was one of the first times I can remember a barrier being broken in my lifting lifetime that big.
That was otherworldly. Like, dude comes in, he's pretty damn lean. Like he normally competes at 242, but I guess he went up to like 260.
Yeah,
Squats
265.
1,036, like two depth, like unquestionable.
Right. Well, that's what made
Benches,
it so good too, not to cut you off. All the standards, like not to talk shit on like geared guys, but like there's been some records like Dave Hoff's one squat was like super high, looked like shit. Dude, his lifts were to the perfect standard.
yes, you can't beat that. And like I grew up in the geared lifting, like when I grew up when geared lifting was dying, so I saw that going out, and like you'd see it, it'd be crazy. I'd go compete at SPF meets because that's kind of what was around
Yeah.
here, and like you'd see someone in a squat 1,000 pounds in a squat suit, and it's like 5 inches high. But then like raw lifters would actually squat to depth, but
Yeah.
you still got shit on for being a raw lifter because you lifted SPF, so
Yeah.
it didn't matter.
No,
Like,
I'm kind of the same way because I came into powerlifting with RPS is big up here,
mhm,
and created by Gene Richlack, who in my opinion is one of the greatest geared lifters of all time.
agreed.
If you actually go watch his 1,000 pound squat in a multiply suit, it's the best geared squat I've ever
He's a
seen.
legitimate. He was a legitimate power lifter. Yes,
Yeah,
in gear.
and he's actually the first guy to ever squat and bench it a grand in the same meet.
Yeah,
Um, but I was the same way, and it's like I think gear kind of it's really hard to explain to people like average it that's why I love the Raw Revolution is because it's like you're just wearing a singlet. Our last meet we hosted our gym, we had like 10 geared lifters, and it's like hard to explain like these super weird suits and all this shit.
yes. Equip lifting is crazy, and we get to flirt the line in strongman with it because of like different briefs and squat
Yeah.
suits or deadlift suits, and so like in some ways I'm grateful for like my history in powerlifting because I got to mess with some equipment and stuff, and so I can help some of my athletes like, oh, like do this like, how do you know this? I was like, because I was training with a bunch of fat idiots, like
Yeah,
like
literally.
that's basically what it was. Because like most of the geared lifters, like of the geared lifters were not super muscular. They weren't very strong raw, but it also, but the other thing people don't understand, it takes like to bench press 700 and even in a multiply shirt takes an incredible amount of stability and strength. But to me, it's not that impressive when you take the shirt off and you can't bench 4 plates. Like
That's my gripe. Is
it's
I've always and I always still do respect the guys that are like super strong in the suits, like and out of the suits. Because it's like I want to look like I lift, right? Like if you lift weights, it's like the guys that like the exact example you use, like 800 pound squat, 800 pound bench, and then they can't take 4 plates. So it's like,
yeah.
that's not that cool to me, but yeah, no, I mean it's crazy. I don't think a lot of people realize that powerlifting was primarily only in equipment. The equipment has just gotten more and more extreme and it's dying out. But yeah, that's what, if you powerlifted 15 years ago, you went to a meet, probably over half the meet was geared.
Oh, for sure. And now, like the kids don't understand it, which is it's not a bad thing. I like the raw evolution for the same reason as the barrier entry is way lower.
Right.
Because who's going to start a sport out and be like, oh, by the way, you need to spend $1,500 on equipment and maintain your body weight and hope it fits, and it's also
Yep,
going to hurt.
that's it.
It's going to hurt a lot too.
Yeah.
Like it's going to hurt. Like
And you need, if you want to actually get under good weight and do it right, you need like 8 other guys to train with you at the exact same time.
yes, that's the other thing too. You need to at least have a group of committed individuals, which it's not the same in most gyms to be able to do that anymore.
Yeah. Well, do you notice the trend of like powerlifting is almost like a solo, like a lot of like headphones now and like, things like that. I mean, that's just what I've noticed with like newer, and it just might be a younger kid thing, and we're just the old guys now, like yelling at, nothing. But I just remember like I don't really think I ever wore headphones when me and all my buddies like trained together, you know, and
Yeah.
it's kind of a little bit different.
I went through phases like with mine. Like I had when I first started powerlifting, I had kind of a coach and we had like a little team. We'd do like group sessions and like you would definitely train, your ass off and train really hard in those sessions. Some learn some good things, learn some bad things from that stuff. But like for a long while, I moved to Stillwater for like a year to go to school, and I didn't have anyone to train with up there. And I got kicked out of the rec center for squatting too heavy. Like they didn't feel like it was safe. So
Yeah,
because it was like the bar was whipping so much or whatever. And so I just trained at the Y that was across the street, and they didn't give a crap what I did as long as I didn't kill myself.
yeah,
So I would just train by myself, and there. It'd be like I still am friends with this dude on Facebook. There was an older gentleman that trained there, and he's like, you're really strong. Like you're gonna be world's strongest man one day. I'm like 20 years old, right? But
yeah.
I'm like, obviously, I'm like, I don't think it's gonna happen, bud. But like, back then I was like, oh yeah, I am. Like, yeah, like, But
That's funny.
he's like, you're the strongest person I've ever seen. I'm like, cool, thanks, dude. And he still sees me on Facebook and stuff. But like, yeah, I was training by myself. There was no one there. Like, you know,
Yeah,
like I don't
yeah,
know.
no, for sure. So from, I mean, obviously you still compete like you're just at OSG. Um, but what kind of led you into coaching? Like, how did you kind of go down that?
So I guess a little bit more of my background what got me into coaching. So my undergrad is actually in kinesiology, exercise science. So I always kind of like loved that, and I was like, I didn't know what I wanted to go to school for. Like I changed my major from electrical engineering when I found out that I ain't too good at math or English apparently. But I was like, okay, I am failing trig, so I probably shouldn't be electrical engineer. And
Yeah,
so
that's
I was like,
funny.
all right, let me do something I actually want to do. And so I found kinesiology. I thought about being like a physical therapist or something. I ended up working for the state as an accountant, and I was just training and lifting still. And my wife Jackie is a principal, hence the Trunch Bowl, and she had some former students, I should say, that started going to brew house, and so she knew them, and they were some dumb kids that know what they were doing, and they were like, hey, will you show us what to do or coach? Because they knew I coached Jackie, and I was like, yeah, I'll help you guys. So I started coaching for free initially, and then I got up to like 5 people that I was helping out coaching, and I was like, well, I'm gonna charge a little bit for this because like I found like when you don't charge anyone anything, they don't typically adhere to whatever you tell them. They just do whatever they
Right,
want to do most of
right.
the time. So I started charging a little bit, and it kind of just grew. And I was like, I got to 10 people, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna start charging a little bit more because it's taking up more of my time. I was like, then it grew like to 15. I was like, I'm gonna charge a little bit more, like, and so like I just kind of like started learning. Obviously, I had the experience and the education behind that as well, but
Yeah,
and definitely I've gotten better as I've coached. And I will say, one thing that honestly helped me be a better coach was to get a coach myself. And I was really on the fence about getting a coach because I was like, well, what if I get a coach, are people going to think I know what I'm doing? Like, but then like I like kind of had like my thought process changed. I was like, well, why wouldn't they buy into me being a coach? Why would they buy into me coaching if I don't believe in having a coach?
right.
So I do think that it can help because I learned a lot from my coach. I'm coaching myself now again, but I think it helps to have someone just to keep an eye on you and do different things. Even if
Yeah.
you know what you're doing, it's hard to see everything for yourself.
Yeah. And one thing I really like about advocating for coaches having coaches is, okay, like the thing you said, obviously you bounce ideas, learn new things, ask, I like talking to other coaches. Like I like talking to you. There's a lot of coaches I talk to just to ask random questions. But, for me, it's more of like, okay, because if you coach, say you coach 25 people, that's 25 other programs, methods, updates you're doing every single week. It's nice to just go in the gym and just shut your brain off. Be like, dude, I'm worried so much about other people's stuff that like I just got this right in front of me and I'm just gonna go do it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Like, so that's what I like the most about it.
I would agree with that, and like that's something that I'm working with, like with my nutrition coach. Is like I don't have to think about my food. I just go,
Right.
I prep it all on Sunday, and I have it already laid out for the week. That way, I don't miss a single meal. I get everything I'm supposed to get when I need to get it, and
Yeah,
that taking care of that part helps me not have to worry about as much as well. So like
sure.
I agree. It's nice to just be able to go and like, okay, like I'm the coach right now. Now I'm doing my athlete part for what I need to do for me.
Right. Yeah. So talk a little bit about that. What was the heaviest you got up to?
So I back in July I did Southwest Regionals for Strongman Corporation, and I don't know why I was doing it. I don't remember if it was because of the events of the show or what it was, but I was like just putting on weight, and I got up to 330 at one
Really?
point. Yeah,
And
like
you're
right
what,
before
like
that show.
5'10"?
I'm 5'10", and
Yeah.
I was like, I was, I was big and strong. I was like, holy crap, I can press the world right now, right? I was like, man, I move like crap, and so I had the Shaw coming up in August, and that show, that Southwest Regionals wasn't very heavy. I just wanted to get my Arnold invite. So I was like, well, I better start losing weight. So I think I got back down to about 315 pretty quick because I was just bloated as hell,
Yeah, yeah.
and then I competed around 315 for the Shaw, and then so I did that, and I got a little bit lighter. I've been maintaining between like 305 and 320 for the most part for like the better part of 3 years, and I ran into my current nutrition coach at the commercial gym, and he was like, "Man, it had been probably 4 or 5 years since I seen him because he had left brew house to train at like other gyms and open his own little place." So I hadn't seen him in forever, and he was like, "Dude, you've put on a ton of muscle since the last time I've seen him." Because, which is true, I used to have like so I was like 318. I don't know, probably about 5 years ago, and I had a 48-inch waist. Right now,
Oh,
I'm down to like I was like 283 this morning, and I comfortably wear a 36. So,
wow.
and even when I was 315, so when I was 315 though, I was still in a 40. So I still lost like 8 inches off my waist, being the same body weight.
Yeah.
So I just gained a ton of muscle. He said he wanted to work with me, and I'm like, you know what? I saw how much. Shout out to Frankie because Frankie's Alec's nutrition coach, and I saw firsthand Alec go from like being really, really good to being great, right? And I was like, and the biggest thing he did was dial in his supplementation and nutrition,
Yeah.
and I was like, you know what? Like, why don't I give this a go for myself? And so that's why I've been cutting down. As part of the plan is to cut down, lean up, so we can feed and actually grow into a show. That's not a process that I've tried before. I've been maintaining, and I felt good at around 300 pounds. I don't feel bad at that body weight, but I will say I am feeling better at 280 right now.
Yeah. Well, it's cool. It's unique to think like that'll be cool to grow into a show versus, training so heavy.
Yeah,
Like it's almost like you're like peaking and getting heavier, but and then you're supporting it with like the muscle mass and the body weight. So like
yeah, and the calories and the nutrition to feed
exactly.
into it, and it makes sense. And it's like and I'm like, duh. Like when my nutritionist is telling me things, I'm like, duh, I know that. Like,
Yeah,
but
right.
it's like you don't think about it.
It's
And also like,
it's another reason to have a coach, I guess. Like you just
mhm.
have those realizations where it's like makes total sense.
And
Stuff
it's
like
been
that.
easier too because Jackie's doing the same thing. Like she's
Oh,
working a
cool.
nutritionist since like I guess since she started like right after OSG. She dropped about 30 pounds on her own after the Shaw, and then she was like, all right, I'm gonna like take this more because she got 10th place again, and that's what she got the year before. And I think her
She's
not
on
moving up,
fire.
yeah, she was like, all right, I need to do something else. Like I need to do
Yeah.
more. And so she's been killing it with that
Well,
too.
it's working because she just got her she just won the Olympic City Pro Am.
She did. She set the American deadlift record for open
Insane
women
pull
at
too.
584. And then she had a little bit more in the tank, I think. I think she had
Yeah.
600, but it wasn't worth it with the
What
second
was
event.
what was her attempt before 584?
So they had set jumps. So it was 5:56 before that to chip. Gosh dang it, I see her face. Victoria Long's
Yeah, yeah.
record. So it was 5:53 is what Victoria had. So they had to chip it to 5:56
And
because she
she
opened at
smoked that
5:29.
pole.
Yeah, it was easy, and like I really would have. What I really wanted was 5:62, but it wasn't one of the jumps. They were like, you can take 5:73. I was like, I don't want to go 5:29 to 5:73. Like
Yeah,
that was too big in my mind
right.
because she got one. She only did one straight bar pull before that comp because she did the Arnold right before.
Yeah, there's a trap bar, so
Yeah, and I was like, I don't really know where it's at. She pulled 5:45, the week after the Arnold comfortably, but I was like, okay, I don't know how it's going to go on comp day exactly, but
right,
obviously,
right.
it played out. But
Yeah. So I mean, that's huge. So how did that comp go? I think they do a pretty good job
they did a very good
launching.
job. That was the first time I had been there. I mean, Colorado Springs is like beautiful,
Hmm.
as most of Colorado. So that was a cool part. Like the location's great. The facility they had was like an indoor soccer, lacrosse arena. So
Yeah.
like it was really like a good arena. There was good spots for the spectators. The way they split up the show, where it would like they had people going in the morning, like the lighter weight classes, and then the
Yeah,
heavier
yeah.
ones, like that worked really well because we were only there like 3 to 7, something like that. So, anytime you can do a show in like 4 or 5 hours, I think that's a good pace for the
Definitely.
athletes. You never cool off all the way and you can
Exactly.
keep rolling, but it's not
Yeah.
rushed.
That's exactly how I feel as an athlete too and a coach. Like you just want that good pace. It's like
Yeah.
I'm never really sitting around. I'm never like I never want to be at a show as an athlete and like I'm like twiddling my thumbs, you
Mm.
know? But then I also don't want to get done with a yoke and be like, okay, you're going right into this sandbag medley. It's like so yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
It's
at least
good to
20,
watch
30
too.
minutes. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a
Yeah.
fun watch. Yeah, I think overall the show is really good. They got back with the athletes and got, contact with them, let them know how much they were going to get paid out for their placings and stuff.
Yeah.
So, which is obviously an important part of the pro am shows that are advertising a payout is to make sure you actually follow through. So,
Yeah.
because with our sport, you never know if that's
There's
going to happen
been
or not. There's been a little
well,
drama there.
there's been some bad eggs that have
Yeah,
set a
yeah,
horrible precedent.
but yeah. So like, it's nice to see when there's people, and it seems like they genuinely care. And that's all you can really ask. Like,
Right.
yeah, we won't touch base on the Arnold, but because
Yeah.
everyone talked about that. But I think James did the right thing. He took responsibility and said, "Hey, we're going to do better next time." Like,
Yeah.
more or
And
less.
I do think honestly, like you hit the nail on the head, and it's something I always tell people when they're looking for a show, is if the promoter gives a shit, it's like 9 times out of 10 gonna be a great show.
Hmm.
That's how I like you see a lot of flash in the pan where like you see a show come up and then it's never comes back. It's like because the promoter was just trying to make a couple bucks and doesn't real you I in my opinion, I don't know why you'd want to run a strongman comp if you didn't love it. Like you were at a strongman comp today helping, right?
Yeah.
All day. You only do that shit if you love it.
Yeah, and
Like,
like and like Yoder's good people, and like with since like we have our little brew crew come up, like
yeah.
Jackie, Seth, and Alec judged, and Hannah Cold Iron judged too. So
Oh,
we had
nice.
like you know 4 pro level strongman. I don't think Seth technically has his pro card, but he's top 10 OSG, whatever.
No,
So
Seth got his pro card.
did he? Oh yeah, he did
Yeah.
at the Arnold. So
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
4 pro. So we have 4 pro
Yeah.
judges. That's right. I forget who gets pro cards and what. I'm not good
Yeah,
enough
yeah.
yet to
It's
know
it's
about
hard to
that.
keep up with now, especially with some changes.
But yeah, so we had 4 pro judges, which is really cool.
That's it.
I
That's
I,
really
I
impressive.
spotted and loaded and just helped people go on. I had a few athletes competing, but they're all chill, so I didn't have to. They didn't need babyed or nothing. I was
Yeah,
like, "Hey, you good? You need anything?" And they're like, "No, we're all good." And they all trained together, so they were just
yeah.
helping each
Nice.
other out. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, you gotta really love it. Um, so okay, so we're like we kind of dropping names, like you say, like Jackie. Jackie's your wife. She's a
yeah.
pro strong woman. We said Alec. Alec won OSG 105, so he's literally one
Alex
of the
won everything. Yeah,
yeah. And well, Alec won the Arnold 23 or
or
24.
24, and
Yeah.
then Nat's 23, and then
Yeah.
Shaw 24. Yeah,
Yeah.
quite a
Shaw.
few big ones, and he's got
Yeah.
PSL coming up. We'll see.
Yeah. So Alec is Quite frankly, he holds the title as World's Strongest 105 right now. So that's another
As
one
of
of
right,
your athletes.
yes,
His brother Seth just took second at the Arnold. We
yes, he
we
did.
referenced that with potentially could have won with some other changes, but I do believe he will get some huge wins in his strongman career. Um,
Hmm.
so you have Seth, just the list goes on and on. But when you're coaching, so you kind of coach, you say you have some athletes there today that I'm sure some are a little bit more novice, or intermediate. What's the difference? Like, what are some traits you see in these killers that you coach? Well, one's your wife, so it's like I don't want to call her a killer, but like she's a pro strong woman, has a deadlift record now. Alec, strongest 105 in the world. Seth, one of the strongest heavyweights. Like, what are some traits you see as a coach that like people are like, I want to get there. Everyone wants to get there, right?
Yeah.
What do you see in them?
So this is something I'm working on as a coach, and what I see and what I notice is like, and I think one of my talents as a coach is like seeing like potential, and like everyone has potential, right? But like not not like necessarily seeing just potential, but seeing who has the ability to bring out their potential. Because like I can't do that as a coach. No coach can do that. The
Right.
athlete has to want it. And they don't even they might not even know that they want it yet, but they have to have the right tools. So like with like Jackie, Seth, and Alec, two like three of my top athletes, if not my three top athletes. Um, what it is I don't know. I almost it might be described almost as a mental illness. I don't know what you would call it, but
Yeah.
there's something there. They got it right.
Yeah.
they have it. So there's something inside of them that wants more, and they don't care. They're not going to take any excuses for answers. They see something, they want it. They're not going to cut corners to get it. They're going to go straight at it, and they're going to figure it out along the way.
Yep.
Like so that's the big thing that I am trying to learn how to teach or coach the mindset, because to me and that even for myself, I think that's what's made me the athlete I am, which obviously I'm not quite to their level, but like is like I don't quit when it gets hard. I find a freaking way to get it done.
Yep.
And and that's something I don't think you can teach. I'm trying to teach it. If I can learn how to teach that, I think I'll be a millionaire. But
Yeah.
like, it's something that's hard to teach. How do you teach someone not to quit when it gets hard, or how to know like, hey, like this is really hard right now, but you have more. Like you can do more. You see that, right? Like,
Right.
so like that's what I'm trying to like work on figuring out, because I have some really talented people with potential that are moving their way up. And the big thing I can do as their coach is believe in them, and like more importantly teach them to believe in themselves. And I think that's a lot of it, I guess. It's like just
Yeah.
believing that you can. And I think if you're crazy enough to gaslight yourself and be like, hey, I can do this. Like this is hard, but like I
Right.
can do this. Like I think that's going to get you a lot further than most people will get. If you can
Yeah,
just be crazy enough to believe it, it's possible.
for sure. And I do think like what you were saying about like the best ones figure it out. And I think like that means like they don't make excuses, but also like they will find a way no matter what. So like they ask a lot of questions to the right people, they study the right things. I think a lot of it goes past like what you can do as a coach, where it's like Alex, I'll say like Alec, for example, like he's gonna ask you, look to you for help, use your coaching, but he's gonna do a lot of his own independent stuff too because he wants it that much.
Hmm.
Like I think that was really good what you said about like they'll figure it out because like they really will. They'll
It's
ask, they'll research, they'll whatever it takes, they
mm-hmm.
will do it.
Because I don't know all the answers. Like I'm the first to admit, like when I picked up Seth and Alec, like they came to me, and I didn't wasn't even necessarily trying to coach them specifically, but I was just like, hey, you know, Seth, you're
Yeah,
killing your brother. You're killing yourself every session, because you're like every exercise to failure every day,
yeah,
like 5 days a week. I'm like, holy crap, guys, you got to chill out, dude. Because like me, I'm looking back, and as a guy who's had 2 knee surgeries, and I was like, 26, 27 at the time, like, hey, dude, I don't want you to be like me, like
right,
having
right,
like the issues I have. So I'm just, hey, like, chill out, dude. You don't have to go that hard every day. Like,
right,
build up, like, save some for next week. And
yeah,
so, and I was just, chatting with him like that. and they came to me like, hey, would you? They were like, hey, we kind of want you to coach us, and I'm like, cool. I don't know hardly anything about strongman. I think I did one competition, maybe one or two. I think just one in like 2019 before COVID, and it was a USS show. It was nothing crazy, and I didn't know what I was doing even myself. But I was like I don't know strongman, but I know how to make you bigger, faster, and stronger.
Yeah,
And it kind of just went from there. Like I think Alex deadlift was like 545 when we started, like
that's crazy.
which is crazy. Like I think he's pulled like eight something in a suit
Well,
now.
and he's done powerlifting where he's hit a 500 dots, right?
I believe he hit 500 dots.
Very close, if not.
If yeah, it's very close. If not, he's done a couple meets. He's done two meets. Yeah,
Yeah, he's a savage. It's funny too, like, it's like scientifically, like how like Seth, like just going and killing himself, working so hard. But give me that guy 10 times out of 10 versus the person you have to be like, dude, you can go over
yeah.
RP6. Because it's like, Seth, you can dial him back and give him some
Hmm.
science behind it. And then that's now he's going to turn into like the world champion, like,
Hmm.
so I think that is one thing in almost every like really great lifter is they probably go harder and you have to dial them back versus the other way around.
I would agree, and that to me, that's part of like the it right, the it factor that they
Yeah.
have is like this guy wants it, but he wants
Yeah.
it too bad.
He's just foaming at the mouth,
Yeah, he
even for
needs
his
direction.
speed training,
Hmm.
whatever that day is. He's going in like it's his Super Bowl every day going into training,
Yeah.
you know. So no, I was just, um kind of curious to see, what your thoughts were on top athletes because you have a pretty crazy roster now. Like,
I
uh,
I do, and they weren't always that way, of course. Like
yeah, yeah,
even Jackie, like we met in like 2018, and her first meet, I think she totaled around 800 pounds.
yeah. How did you guys meet?
We actually matched on Tinder,
Oh,
and her thing
really?
her thing said, if you don't lift, swipe left. And I was like, I had just started lifting because I took like a couple years off after my second knee surgery. I like just started lifting again. And
You're
I
like,
was like, I
yes.
lift. I was like, and so I was like, all right, I swiped, and that's history. We hit it off, and I helped her with her first meet, and she's like
That's
she didn't have
amazing.
any of the she didn't have well she was doing CrossFit, and the
Oh,
CrossFit
wow.
coach was like, you should try powerlifting, you're really strong. And she's like, okay. And she signed up for a meet, and then she met me like, I don't know, maybe a couple months before her meet. And she's like, yeah, I have this and this. And I'm like, yeah, no, they're not going to let you use any of that equipment. And she's like, really, why not? And like luckily I had all my old crap, and it like most of it would like worked for her. So she was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay. So she like used like my wrist wraps or like knee wrap or sleeves and stuff. And she's like, this is way better. She was using like, just cheap CrossFit like supportive gear and stuff like
Yeah, yeah.
that, like it's not on their approved list or whatever. So
Yeah. That's funny. That's
it
crazy.
was
That's
pretty
a
good.
modern day love story.
Yeah, it's
That's on
funny.
Tinder.
No, it was funny. I think she tells the story different. She said, I don't think she tells people we met on Tinder. I think she says that we met on a dating site.
Yeah,
She
met
doesn't
on
say which
Tinder.
one, but no,
Whatever.
but nah, she was trolling for a stud. So just kidding. No, I'm just playing.
So with your nutrition, like, okay, so you're down to like 286 now ish or 283. What'd you say?
I'm
283?
down. I'm in the low 280s. I was 281 earlier this week, but
That's
been in with
incredible.
stomach stuff. So
So do you have a number in mind that you want to hit before you start like feeding back up, or are you kind of looking more like body composition? How are you approaching it?
so with my nutrition coach, we're not looking for a set number. We're kind of just playing with the macros a bit. So he's actually bumped up some of my calories back up, at least my carbs. Like on Saturday and Sunday, when my heavier training days typically, I'm up to 500 grams of carbs again. So my cut's going to slow down now because we pulled like 30 pounds off really quick,
Yeah, yeah.
and which is awesome. But now we're gonna kind of settle. I think we were originally looking at around 275, just because that's a good number. I've cut to that before, and like when I did cut to 275 the last time, I still totaled like 1950, and
Wow.
so I was like, I didn't lose much strength. Like my best, like that was only 100 pounds under my best total at 308. So I was like, okay, I didn't really lose much strength being 30 pounds lighter. So if I cut down, I'll be a little bit faster, more athletic, leaner, we can build up. I don't even know if I'll get back up to 300 for Shaw. I'm imagining we'll probably be around 290 because that'll probably suit me better based off the events I've seen too.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw they did the three events they released them, right? What, axle for reps, frame carry, or
Mm.
yeah, frame carry, and then like the medley or whatever.
Yeah, sandbag. There's two sandbag drag medley, a 333 axle clean and press for reps, clean each rep, and then a 775 frame for the open.
So was it the is it the same like system as last year where you can just sign up? Like they're doing like the lightweights and the heavyweights and you can like anyone can pretty much sign up and then then the certain like however many make the finals.
Yeah, so they're doing it the same way. They're changing the amount you can sign up per class because the open got full at like 60 last year. I think like 56 of the guys did show up. So they have
Yeah.
100 open they're allowing. They're
Oh
doing
wow.
50 105s, I believe, and then 25 for each of the female
Holy
classes.
shit. So there's gonna be 100 open men.
Yeah, so
Wow.
it's going to be crazy, but it's still 200 total participants ideally if
Yeah.
everyone signs up. They just reduced the women's from instead of it being 50-50-50,
Yeah.
50.
Which makes sense. I mean, if participation is much
There's
lower.
not as many women that sign up.
Yeah. It
No,
just does it's
it's
not
just
at that.
there's not as many athletes in the
Yeah,
female
right.
category.
So that makes total sense.
It does.
Um, okay, so you've done OSG and you did the Shaw last year.
Hmm.
I would love I would love if the Shaw added classes, but then I get why they don't. I do think I selfishly wish they had lighter weight classes, but I understand the system and I think it runs really well. How was it as an athlete?
It's like just the shot itself, or compared to OSG with the multiple
Well, you
classes.
can compare it to OSG. I mean, compared to like, I mean, you have a knowledge of a lot of different shows as a coach, as an athlete, everything. Like, I think the Shaw could steal strongman, really. Like, it's he just it seems like from my vantage point of just watching as a spectator, he does such a good job, like the whole team. I was just curious, kind of like what your experience was like there.
So let's take it back to our earlier point in our conversation where the best shows are the ones where the promoters really care, right? And you can tell that. I mean, Brian loves strongman. You can't argue
Right.
that. I don't think you'll find a more, a guy with more integrity in the sport really
Yeah.
than Brian Shaw.
Well, last year, not to cut you off, but when there was the mistake in the strongest man on earth last year,
Mm-hmm.
remember with the press?
Yes.
And he came out in front of everyone and literally like I gained so much, not like I didn't respect him or anything like that, but like how much respect I had for him to get in front of the whole arena and be like, listen, this is exactly what happened. Not like, because so much stuff in Strongman you hear through the grapevine later. Like, yeah, Brian apologized to us. He had a, well, no, dude, he literally went in front of the entire arena, said, we fucked up. This is how we're going to have a meeting with the athletes. We're going to find a solution and we're going to make it right.
And that is a boss integrity move. That is the right
Of
thing
a
to do.
guy that gives a shit, too.
Yeah, exactly. Like he took full responsibility and said, "This is my show. This is on me." He didn't blame one of the helpers.
Yeah.
You, you
And
know,
and in reality, it probably wasn't his fault. Like on a grand scale level, it was his fault because he's running the
yeah,
show. But it was probably just someone made a
and
mistake.
yeah. Well, they look the same. Like anyone could have made that mistake, and
Right.
and me as a
Right.
helper volunteer, like I was today, like I wouldn't have known the difference. I was probably listening to someone with a clipboard telling me to put something somewhere, and
Right.
like, like you know what I mean, like,
100%, man. And
and
it
so
happens. It
it does happen.
happens.
Mistakes happen. We're all human. And so like
Right.
that leading off of that, like you can tell he cares about the athletes having a fair, fun performance and staying safe. Like I've never been to another show where like they just have like bananas and peanut butter sandwiches and Rice Krispies back there the whole time for the athletes. They have, all the Kairos and hot cold tubs and stuff like they do at OSG and stuff as well. Brian has that arena locked down to make sure like if you're not getting back there, if you don't have a coach's pass and stuff, there's no way to do that. There's no way to skirt through any of that stuff. There's not people crowding places they're not supposed to be. He even has volunteers like basically spotting and loading the warm up area to make sure everyone's getting through and able to warm up. So like as a
That's
coach,
crazy.
like even from like a coaching perspective, when I didn't quite make it to finals, so I was coaching on the finals of day 2 and 3, and like I'm not even having to touch things for my athletes. I'm just sitting there with it. I'm like, all right, it's your turn to go. Like hop on,
Yeah.
like
Which
not
makes
having
a
to
huge
look.
difference because if you've never been a coach in a big show like warm up room, you basically become the loaders. You know.
Yes, 100%. Well, like at the Arnold, like I was glad that Josh Spurgeon was there, but like they started losing volunteers. Like people were just their volunteers were just leaving, and so one of the volunteers was trying to load this like 300-pound sandbag on a pallet jack to bring out there, and I'm sitting there. I'd been there all day because I had athletes in every division,
Yeah, yeah.
and I'm like crap. I'm gonna have to help this guy load these sandbags, and I load one, and he's coming back, and then I'm like, oh crap, we got to set all these up because we're trying to get done because they're like 3 hours behind schedule, and I'm like, man, my open guys aren't even going to get a chance to compete today. Well, I better do something. And then Josh and me started just handing sandbags out. So I did not plan on trading sandbags today, but here we go.
Yeah, it's
Which is
crazy.
again no fault of James. It's hard to get volunteers, especially like the Arnold's expensive to go to, and you're not getting it's a lot. It's just but the volunteers make the show too. So
Volunteers make the show.
they really do, and like that's been apparent. Like with the show I helped at today, like we had such a good crew of volunteers last year and this year. Like it ran exactly on time. 60 something athletes through 5 events in 5 hours, and some cool events. Like he brought back. You would have loved this. He had this. The one of the '80s World Championships. Remember they did like the wrist
The
crank
wrist roller, I
control.
saw that on the event page.
So he made this really. He has this like 2,000-pound welding table, and he put these big like wrist roll things on, and it's connected to a strap that goes over like a pulley, and you had to pull the weight off, and you just measure how far it came up off the ground, and it
That's
was
pretty cool.
awesome. It was really cool. But he's one of the like equipment fabricator guys here
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Oklahoma, so he's pretty good at that
That's
stuff.
one thing. That's one thing I really think is cool is like, and I think it'll continue to get better with strongman is like the innovation, where you have the right people making equipment. Because I do think like, okay, so you like he competes, right?
Hmm.
So he understands like as he's testing that equipment, like, okay, this might need to change. This, like there's something about being an athlete and then making the equipment too, because you know.
Yeah,
So that's probably why he's so good at it too.
yeah,
You
because
know?
he can test it out, make sure. Like he made me a yoke. I don't think I sent you a video of it yet, but he made me a 300-pound yoke, and that thing is a tank.
Yeah, yeah,
Like it is solid. I'm kind of annoyed about it, having to move it around the
yeah.
garage and
Even
get.
just like moving it, like
Yeah,
just
it's
like
so
a
annoying to
couple
move.
feet.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Yeah. Um, so you'll be doing the Shaw again this year?
that's the plan. I'm still rehabbing my knee, but I'll be there regardless because I know Jackie's gonna do it again, and then I think Alex gonna do it again. Trying to convince Seth to do it, but he's got the Siberian Power Show in 2 weeks that he
Yeah,
got
I
the
know.
last minute invite for.
I'm really excited to see how he does there.
I am too. I just want him to get there and back in one piece. There's a lot of travel, and he's
Yeah.
traveling by himself for the first time I think ever. So
How's he feeling for it?
I think he's just nervous because he's going to compete against like Mateusz Kilikoski or Matush. I don't know how to say his name.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
terrible
I
with
say
names.
Mateus as well, but
Mateus,
I
yeah.
never knew.
And then Thor's competing in it. Uh
That's crazy.
what's the Russian dude with the beret that used to bleed out of his
Um,
face?
um, Mikhail Kevlikov or whatever.
Yes, yes, he is also on the roster along with a bunch of other strong Russian dudes. I'm sure there's some other ones I'm missing, but like
Yeah.
it's a pretty high level pro show, I think.
Yeah, yeah, and
So
honestly, no matter how Seth does, and I think he'll do very well, but no matter how Seth does, like I think this will be a huge like XP like weekend for him, where like being around those next level athletes that he's never got to compete against, I think just being a sponge and like seeing that stuff, I think that'll be amazing for him.
and that's what I've told him. I was like, because I know Seth, and he's a little nervous,
Yeah,
as I would be. I think anyone would be, right?
for
You're going
sure.
to like a big show against like guys you like looked up to in the sport the last 10 years, really. And
Yeah,
so he's like, man, am I ready for this? And then he's traveling by himself. That's a lot of stress. It's like almost 2 days of travel each way, I think.
Yeah. Has a kid on a little kid at home.
Hmm.
Like all that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think there's a lot of nerves, plus the short prep. Throw all of that on top of like a 4 week prep. Like, I think I told him, I said, either way, I think you're gonna get a lot of experience. Gonna get a cool trip to another country you've never been to. Um, get a lot of good experience, like you said, and experience traveling out of the country, experience competing internationally. And I'm like, you know what? Even if you flop, dude, it's still a win. And you
Yeah,
know
for
what?
sure.
You know what's great about that? You don't have any pressure on you. I don't think anyone has any crazy expectations. So go have fun and show out, do what you can do, and what you can't do, forget about it. Like,
Right. How many
like
days how many days is that show?
I think it's two. I believe it's
Yeah, that's
six
what I thought
events
too.
in 2 days,
Yeah.
and some
That's
of the
awesome.
events are pretty grueling.
Yeah. That'll be fun to see how he
I'm
does.
I'm excited for him, and I'm also nervous as well,
Yeah.
in a good way. Like, I know he'll do well. I know he's capable of doing well. I just want him to
Yeah.
know that he's capable of doing well.
Yeah. And I think him going will show him just that. Like, oh shit, like I belong. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
he's like, oh, I am ready to take that next step. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping that comes from it.
So if everything like feeling good with your knee and everything, what's kind of like, okay, the Shaw, like, is that kind of where your focus is? Do you have like other, what's kind of your like next year in your mind look like?
To me, like, finish up the cut. I think I have 6 weeks left on my cut, 5 6 weeks. Then I'll hopefully be pretty good to start pushing the knee some more. It is slowly coming back. So Shaw, I wasn't sure if I was going to want to do OSG again, but I've heard some rumors it's going to be a little bit closer to me. I don't know if I should say on here.
Yeah, it's gonna be in Dallas.
Okay, yeah, it's
That's
going to
what
be
I
in
hear.
Dallas, is what I've heard, uh, which is only like 3 hours from me. So that makes it a lot cheaper, and lodging and everything in Dallas is also a lot cheaper. But I won't have to fly, so that right there is probably saving me at least $1,000.
Yeah.
So I'd like to go compete there again. Really, my big goal this year for like the Shaw or OSG is to make finals, which is a big ask. Like, I'm
Yeah,
not
yeah.
delusional. Like, I'm 5'10". I'm pretty strong. I'm a pretty decent strong man, but like, I'm not one of the freaks, and I know that.
Right.
Like, I can be strong and I can do well for like, I'm a quote unquote normal guy, right? Like,
Yeah.
for like a
Oh
more
yeah.
normal guy. So like, if I can make finals, even if it's 10th, like at Shaw or OSG, I'd be happy, because that means I'm up there with the monsters and I'm playing with them. That's all I
For
can ask.
sure. For sure, man. I mean, yeah, it's a good goal to have. Just some people there's just the genetic, especially when you get into the heavyweights.
Yeah,
There's just freaks. There's just absolutely
yeah, yeah,
just mongoloids.
yeah. It's
And
like, I'm just not. Never been a freak. Won't ever be a freak. I might just be a little freaky. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. That's a good way to put it. But no, man, I appreciate you jumping on, and
Yeah,
I think that was a good discussion. I'll have to have you on more often. But I already dropped Colton's Instagram, but definitely follow him. If you're watching on YouTube, it's right here at the bottom, but it's Roadhouse 68, right?
yeah, yeah,
Um, uh, he's a good follow. He's kind of a troll on his story too, sometimes with like some good memes and stuff. So he's a great follow, and really good coach, good person. So definitely reach out, give him a follow, whatever. So
yeah,
I
yeah,
appreciate it, man.
yeah. I appreciate having you on. You having
Yeah.
me on. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk to you soon. And thanks everyone for listening. We'll talk to you guys next week. Thanks.